Story 1. I asked a coworker out. She turned me down. So I asked her if she knew anyone. She said she would work on it. 6 weeks later, she set me up with my now wife of 41 years. Story 2. My husband met me because we were at a party and he was relaxing by himself. I drunkenly approached him, told him we would be heading out afterward to continue the party, and he was coming with me. He barely said a word in response. Now it is 10 years later, and he still really hasn't gotten a word in. Sorry, honey, I know I talk a lot. Story 3. At work, after school, she used to do things to intentionally annoy me to the point where I would get angry. We would even argue sometimes. Until one day we were forced to work together by our manager. Then I realized she was going out of her way to tap me on the shoulder or grab my forearm when she needed to ask me something. Out of annoyance, I rhetorically asked her if she liked touching me. To my surprise, she blushed. At that moment, everything clicked. I thought we were not getting along, but she was just trying to get my attention by any means necessary. So I asked for her number. The rest was history. Fast forward, we have 3 children together. We will be celebrating 14 years of marriage next February and 19 years of being together this November. Story 4. She dropped my glasses in a river while trying to see how blind I was. I was supposed to be the designated driver after a float down the river, but that turned into 5 happy years of marriage. I have been married for 7 years, but for the first 2 years, I was still upset about the glasses. Story 5. I am pretty sure it was a conspiracy involving at least half the people we worked with at the time. Around Christmas, a manager told me I won a raffle for 2 free games of bowling while she was standing nearby. Another coworker looked at the 2 of us and said, "Hey, you 2 should go together," loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. I looked at her and simply said, "Want to?" She said, "Sure. We will be married 13 years come November." Story 6. I was playing a massively multiplayer online role-playing game. A woman in the guild mentioned needing a date for a wedding. I joked that I looked good in a suit. She invited me for coffee after realizing we live 60 kilometers apart. We have been married for 8 years and are going strong. Story 7. I faked being an extrovert until I found out she was also faking being an extrovert. Then we both reverted to being introverts and enjoyed hiding from the world together. Story 8. I was asleep in bed and received a phone call at 11 p.m. on a Sunday night from my best friend. He and his wife had run into the sister of one of his childhood friends. They were hanging out and he asked me to come by to meet her. I only went over because their apartment was a 5-minute walk away, and I did not want to be hassled by him for not coming over the next time I saw him. That was 33 years ago. Story 9. She is more introverted than I am. Our schools at university were partnered, and here we are 15 years later. Story 10. I went out and played socially for 3 months. I met a woman who was just as introverted as I am. She is now the mother of my children. Story 11. We've been together nearly 20 years now. There are 2 things that helped. 1, she does not take energy to be around. It is just easier with her, even during conflict. 2nd, the idea of missing out on being with her was worse than the fear that she might say no. No regrets. Story 12. I am not the man, but my husband, who is still extremely introverted and quiet, was the coworker selected to train me at work. They chose him because they thought he would not be interested in me. Little did they know we started a relationship after 2 weeks. I asked him out initially, and he said that it shocked him that I would even consider him when, in fact, he is the type that I thought I would never have a chance with. Nothing is impossible. Story 13. Met a girl who knocked my socks off, and for some reason she liked me too. That was 7 years ago. Today, I am married with a daughter. Story 14. I just stayed true to myself. I met her through a mutual friend, and things clicked slowly but genuinely. Story 15. Tinder. The early days of Tinder. It has changed a lot based on what my single friends say, but it was there for me. Story 16. My wife and I met on Bumble. She is also introverted. We both have people jobs that require us to be extroverted for 8 hours a day. We bonded over our love of the slow life outside of work and our mutual interests. We both had long-term commitment in mind when looking for partners, rather than playing the dating game. We were both seeking the same thing: love where we had not found it previously, a partner, not just a boyfriend or girlfriend, and someone who makes us want to be the best version of ourselves. Story 17. She noticed I was quiet but still listened. She made the first move and I matched her energy. Sometimes being calm is louder than words. Story 18. I went on a group holiday with friends, spent the week scuba diving and drinking, which helps reduce introversion. After the holiday, she dropped me off at home because she has a car. I owned a motorbike, so I couldn't carry everything. She invited herself in for a beer and never left. Help me. I have a 13-year-old son now. Story 19. My longtime female friend, who was one of my closest friends, said, "We are doing this." And I thought, great idea. I have been married for 12 years now. Story 20. A girl at a coffee shop, the Dutch version where you can buy and smoke cannabis, overheard me chatting with a friend about computers. I am in information technology. We were regulars there but never really talked to each other. She came up to us and asked me to fix her personal computer. Well, it turned out it was not her personal computer that needed fixing. Now we have been married for 17 years. Story 21. Tinder introduced me to another introvert. We have been together for 6 years now. She likes to go out and do activities with her friends, but she is also comfortable spending a weekend at home, reading a book while I play video games. Next, I plan to get her a gaming PC so we can have his and hers desks. Story 22. Asked her out on a date and she said yes multiple times. Then we got together. Introverted does not mean shy. They are two different things. Story 23. We met while we were both students at university. I was not actually looking for a partner, to be honest, but I enjoyed being around her. She was very much an extrovert, so she made the first move to break the ice. After a few weeks, I asked her out. 12 years later, we are married with 2 children. I am very thankful that she made the first move. I was attracted to her almost as soon as I saw her, but I am not sure if I would have gone out of my way to approach her. As some people have mentioned, being introverted does not automatically mean being shy. I was just comfortable with my own company and never really had much reason to expand my circle of friends, but my life would have been very difficult without her. Story 24. In a 30-person class with 60 chairs, I sat all the way in the back as an introvert, of course. I wasn't expecting anyone to talk to me, but my wife was sitting at the front of the class and came to borrow a pencil. We have been together for almost 20 years now. Story 25. Genuinely being myself. Being introverted does not necessarily mean I am shy or lack confidence. I simply went up to her, talked a bit, and then asked for her number. My social energy gets drained very quickly when I am out, but anything stimulating or engaging can keep me charged. I try to respect both aspects, but I definitely lean towards being a homebody. Story 26. My sister's friend set me up with her niece. 2 awkward shut-ins that so far seem to be perfect for each other. My last partner was a friend of my friend's wife. I much prefer meeting someone through connections rather than going out to places I do not enjoy. Story 27. Mostly through mutual friends or shared interests. I did not force anything, just let things build naturally. Story 28. College. My friend and I were walking to our hangout spot between classes. Another class was let out, and a girl walked in front of us. My friend brought a football, soccer, to university to kick around that day. When she was in front of us, he thought he recognized her from their high school as they were acquaintances in grade school. He decided to toss the ball at her back. She turned around asking, "What?" And they started chatting. He eventually invited her to our spot as she didn't have any friends there and was looking for a place to sit and study. We started talking. I asked her out on a date. Time went on, and here we are 9 years later, 1 house later, and 2 dogs later. Story 29. Find an extroverted woman and listen to her when she talks. Help and support her in what she does. You do not have to be the flower. Be the gardener. Story 30. I cornered her in an alleyway and asked for her number. Frightened, she allowed me to take it from her. I eagerly typed her digits into my phone as she shakily disclosed them to me, my hands typing away with absolute glee on my face. In that silent night, I secured what was to be my greatest victory. Yes, I got her number. Yet as she walked away, I could see her crying. Tears of joy, perhaps? No matter. I will call her soon. Unfortunately, the calls were answered by the police. In a shared cell, I now write, my partner with me always. He is smelly and frightening. Not what I had in mind. Story 31. I can flip a mental switch and become very outgoing. Doing so takes a lot of energy, and I can only do it for short bursts before needing to retreat to recharge. It helped me find a partner, improve many other relationships, and advance my career. Story 32. Currently single, but my last relationship started like this. A friend reached out and asked me if I wanted to take dancing lessons because they needed more men in the class. At first, I wasn't sure and not really in the mood to do it, but that friend was very persistent, so I agreed to try it once. I liked it and stayed in the class. We had to change partners for every dance. In the beginning, it was just one of the rules to get us used to different people and to learn how to lead the dance, or, for the women, how to follow the lead of different people. I really liked dancing with one girl, and whenever we had to change partners, we tried to dance together and sometimes we didn't switch around. I think the instructors noticed, but at that point in the class, they cared less about that. When the instructors finally announced that we should form pairings, she just stood next to me and said, I'll keep you. 3 months later, we were a couple. We lasted about 5 years. Story 33. I lucked out. I am older, so I have known my wife since birth. Our great-grandmothers immigrated from Portugal together. They each had daughters who became best friends, and those daughters were our grandmothers. They each had daughters who became best friends, our mothers. My mother had a boy, and my wife's mother had a girl. We became best friends, and then puberty hit. We have 3 children now and have been together for 15 years. She is extremely extroverted, and I am extremely introverted. My friends are her and my children. Her friends are every person we have ever met. But it works. Her strengths are my weaknesses, and my strengths are her weaknesses. She is the yin to my yang. Story 34. I had been working at the same place for months and had only noticed her out of the corner of my eye in passing. One day, walking through the break room to go outside to smoke, I noticed her sitting at a table on her phone, minding her own business. It was like a halo was around her, and I knew at that moment she would be my wife. We will be married 13 years next month. Story 35. I sent her a direct message to share my thoughts initially, but we remained friends for 6 months. Once she understood that we were compatible, we dated for about 9 years. She has now been my wife for 5 years. Story 36. I started volunteering at the local zoo and made friends with the animal keepers. They introduced me to my now wife who worked at the local aquarium. Story 37. Online dating took an entire evening of browsing profiles to find a woman I truly liked, and I am very happy with my choice. Story 38. My partner is introverted. We met through friends on a camping trip and drove back together. We were friends for many months before we finally fell for each other. His attention to detail and ability to remember things I said made me see him differently, along with his generosity, intelligence, compassion, and humor. Remember that being introverted does not mean having poor social skills. It means you cannot socialize as often as extroverts because it costs you energy. I am an introvert and maintain many friendships, but not in the same way extroverts do. I love socializing with my friends. I just get drained afterward. Even positive interactions require time to process and recover from. It is okay and even advisable to research and practice social skills consciously. Not everyone acquires them naturally, and there is nothing wrong with learning as an adult. I have spent many years honing mine. I am highly sensitive and can be a bit off-putting at times. Learning about human communication and relationships has helped me make and maintain the relationships I have now. Story 39. Through friends, we knew each other for about 8 months and realized we both enjoyed each other's company. We would sneak away from parties and go on late-night walks together. It was all close friend stuff until she had to move away. That was the moment we had to make a move, like now or never, and we did. We have been together nearly 4 years and are looking to move in together soon. Story 40. When we first talked, I thought she was in a relationship. Because of this, I was less nervous around her and more my normal self. After she told me the guy who I thought was her boyfriend was just a platonic friend, I was able to use the foundation of behaving normally around her to move into relationship territory. She was really into me and kept asking to meet after school, which made it possible to make her my girlfriend. Since I doubt I could pull that off again, I just married her. And now we have 2 kids together. Story 41. I ordered her online. It required a lot of effort to get things working once she arrived, but I was willing to stick it out. She is kind of high maintenance and does not do a lot around the house, but we make it work. It took a while before we were able to share a bed, but we are madly in love now, and she shares the bed with me instead of living in the closet like when she first got here. My blow-up doll's name is Gertrude, or Gertie for short. Story 42. Introvert does not mean I am terrified to talk to people. It means that large social gatherings with many people can be tiring, and I need to plan for those. I have always been able to talk to women. I just do not want to do it at a crowded bar. I do not spend my life in a cave. Story 43. Online, I found a wonderful woman who is just as introverted as I am. We talked a lot at first, then went for a walk after a few weeks. We have been together basically ever since. Story 44. He messaged me on Reddit 10 years ago. After being chat buddies for a while, we met in person. Later, I moved here. Story 45. Answering for my introverted husband. He took his daughter out shopping at the mall and walked into the store where I was working. His daughter walked off with the grandmother, and I asked him if he needed any help. His mouth opened, but no words came out. It was a little awkward and funny. Eventually, the words came out and he left. I remember telling my coworkers that if I ever saw that attractive dad again, I was going to ask for his number. Within the same hour, he returned to the store to buy a beanie. I insisted on ringing him up just so I could ask for his number. I saw his wrist and got excited. He had an Ouroboros tattooed like a bracelet. I had actually planned to get an Ouroboros tattooed as a bracelet too, so I broke the ice and told him he stole my idea. He was shocked that I even knew what it was and then asked for my number. He called immediately after. When he tells the story, he mentions that after leaving the first time, a song started playing in the mall, and it felt like a push for him to come back to me. He was embarrassed about his shoes, which to this day I don't remember, so he ran and bought a brand new pair of Vans before returning to my store. It took a while into our dating to realize we had actually crossed paths a few months earlier at a nightclub. I was dressed up with makeup, looking like a mean goth girl. He was leaning against the back door sipping a beer. We locked eyes and he rolled his eyes at me. The only reason we didn't speak sooner was because when he first saw me, I looked mean, and the second time I was dressed like a homeless person in comparison, so I came off less scary, I guess. We have been together for 9 years so far and have 5 kids total. Story 46. There is no easy way to go about it. There is no secret introvert calling card that states, I am single and looking. I think I identify as introverted, but I did not want to be completely alone. I liked the company of a companion, and when I started to live alone, I found it lonely. My friends had moved further away and started families, and I had no one to really fall back on. So I did something really out of character for me. I took dance lessons, specifically swing dance lessons. The important point is that it was a partner dance. It was kind of fun but mostly uncomfortable, and as a man, I was in higher demand since dancing, due to various cultural issues in the United States, is not considered very masculine. It was very strange to learn to dance. I was in a class where most of the people were much older than me, definitely not dateable, and to be honest, not people I would normally interact with if I had an opportunity. But partner dancing creates space for interacting. You are both focused on a task, so there is no pressure to talk, and eventually you start to have fun with it. You are also touching another person, a stranger, and it's platonic, positive, and normal. That wasn't normal to me. Touching anyone was not the norm for me. It is still not normal for me to touch anyone outside of my wife these days if it is outside the context of dancing. If I want to comfort a friend when they are going through a hard time, laying a hand on their shoulder feels unfamiliar and layered with a lot of, what if this is not okay for them, sort of stigmas. So yeah, I started swing dancing, and that led to a whole underground world of swing dancing, blues dancing, and 1920s dress-up parties. Some secret community that existed underneath a very emotionally superficial and unsatisfying world. After I had taken 2 classes, I decided to go to my first dance. It was again uncomfortable, but I danced with some older ladies who were happy to have a partner. From there, I learned about other swing dances and events, and I learned about other places to take swing classes. I was able to find people of both genders whom I gravitated toward. I learned it was okay to touch people and to be touched in the right context, of course, and that helped me become more comfortable around strangers. I was able to have conversations with people I did not know but maybe wanted to find out if they were worth knowing or not. That led to friends, that led to community, and my weekends were no longer spent at home playing video games. I met many people during my time dancing, and I grew more confident with myself. At least I felt like I had things to say that were worth other people hearing. Ultimately, dancing did not lead to me finding my lifelong partner directly. I did not meet her through dance, but the experience gave me enough confidence to talk to people I did not know. Without the whole experience and my growth socially and emotionally, I doubt we would be married. Story 47. Wife is a certified baddie. I did the only thing natural to me as an introvert and admired her for over 3 months while I built up the courage. Finally, I decided enough was enough and sent a message to ask her out. It was not my best moment because I ended up following her into a poorly lit parking lot. She still agreed to a date with the creepy parking lot guy. Then we went on a date every day for the next 3 months, and now we have been married for 4 years. Story 48. She called me a day after I left a woman who had been cheating on me to tell me she always had a crush on me and was there if I needed anything. Story 49. We were both out of our element. I had gone out drinking with some friends, and we ended up at a seedy bar, the kind of bar you laugh at when friends suggest it. But we wanted to play pool, and it was the last place open on our side of town. She, I found out later, had been drinking on a boat with her friends. They had just gotten back to town and wanted one more drink. Again, it was the only place left open. I saw her come up the stairs, and in a fit of drunken overconfidence, I turned to my friends and said, "Watch this." Took me a solid 20 seconds to cross the room and figure out what I was going to say. I was growing my hair out at the time and had always had trouble with my curls. This girl, wow, talk about some hair. Merida from Brave had nothing on her. I got it right as I walked up to her and tapped her shoulder. "I'm sorry if this seems weird," she said, turning around a little peeved that some dude was talking to her. "But I have to ask, what do you do with your hair? I'm growing mine out and—" You get the point. I was thinking if I didn't get her number, I would at least walk away with some good hair advice. We sat down together and talked for the remaining 2 hours the bar was open. Her friends thought we were old friends, and mine continued the pool tournament without me. We are getting married in August. Story 50. Just a woman commenting after reading a bunch of entertaining comments. I prefer introverted men I can drag back to my cave. They always think I am an extrovert. That is part of the ruse. I am a full-time career hermit with a doctor of philosophy in antisocial tendencies. If I want to sleep with someone, I make it known. Awkward introverts are the best. Story 51. My high school friend was moving out of state. When we last saw each other, I asked her for her AOL Instant Messenger screen name. She seemed very excited to give it to me. We were able to keep in touch and chat through that, and it made me feel much more comfortable. The first chance she got to come back and visit, she did, and we got a chance to see each other. It felt so natural that I didn't have to worry about being an introvert. Having a chance to break that barrier through messaging really helped me find the courage to express myself. We have been together for almost 20 years and married for 12. Story 52. Met in college but thought she was out of my league. Realistically, she was, and I still feel she is, pursued by the entire nerd group. The day after my last final of my senior year, she was at a small gathering I attended. I talked to her for a while about nerd topics and set up a date for a week later. She is just as introverted as I am, and we are now happily married. Sometimes you just have to take your chance. I also found out that when I first met her, she was attracted to me too, but thought that if we dated then, it would burn out. She believed it would be a better relationship in a few years, so she did not pursue me then. She was right. Story 53, eHarmony. Met one girl after 2 weeks on the site, dated for 1 year, and were engaged for 6 months. We have been married for 7.5 years and have 2 children now. Story 54, I hit on the bartender. Married 9 years now, together for 12. They say, just because she serves you and she is nice to you does not mean she is interested. While that may be true, sometimes speaking up pays off. Story 55, we do not. We go to work every day, then go home and meet no one. We live alone. We die alone. It is a pretty sad existence, actually. Story 56. I went to a gas station where she was working. I found myself going there more often, and as bad as I am at these things, it worked. We now have a wonderful 11-month-old daughter. Story 57. I played an instrument starting in 6th grade and was in marching band for 8 years, 4 in high school and 4 in college. That is where I met people. Clubs like that are wonderful for meeting potential partners. I have only ever had 2 partners, the first in high school and the second in college, and I married the second one. If it were not for marching band, I am not sure where I would have met anyone. I would have had to resort to dating apps, which seem genuinely awful. Story 58. I had to overcome my severe social anxiety and asked a coworker out for pancakes. We have been married for 10 years now. Story 59. She stalked me online and demanded I go over there and make couples costumes. 11 years and we will soon have the outfits ready. I am sure. Story 60. Every serious relationship I have had, I met at work, and one was my best friend's sister. My wife I met at work. I had a few short relationships and friends with benefits I met online. One time in my life I had a hookup while out for the night, and it was all her pursuing me. I am definitely not the type of personality that knows how to pick up women in public. The advantage of meeting women at work is they get to know you over time, and there is no pressure in getting to know each other. Story 61. In the same way I became healthier and more skilled, I recognized that I can enjoy activities even if they require effort. Exercise, study, and socializing all require work and can sometimes be frustrating or disappointing, but they are also enjoyable and rewarding. Additionally, be genuinely interested in people, regardless of your sexual attraction, without being overly goal-oriented. This approach will go a long way in creating opportunities. Story 62. Met her at a friend's birthday party. Shared my food with her and then drained my entire social energy for a week by going full extrovert mode to impress her. It worked, and then I found out she is completely introverted as well. We have been together for 8 years this past April. Story 63. My extroverted ex-wife introduced me to the introverted former girlfriend of the man she cheated on me with. They were both looking to leave their boring former partners so they could hang out. Jokes on them. We both found our soul mates, and they are still petty. Story 64. If I think about it, probably every man I have seriously dated is an introvert. Strong, silent type equals sexy. There was a Sex and the City episode where Samantha hooked up with a quiet farmer who never spoke. Afterward, they were lying there and she said, "You are a man of few words, but they are all the right ones." Story 65. Introverted men do not talk much. They listen and do not try to solve a woman's problems. They are strong and supportive with few demands. Their love runs deep with endless devotion. Story 66. Grinder. I thought he was fake because I was bored. I decided to troll a bot. Turned out he was real and very attractive. I have no idea what I did right, but we have been together for 16 years now. Story 67. I printed out some extra receipt paper and wrote my number down on it when I saw her walk into the store. When her receipt printed, I slipped both into her bag. I went to help another customer, and when I turned around, she was still at the counter. She was writing her number down on a thin piece of paper, rolled it into a joint filter, and said, "Let me know if you want me to finish rolling this later." Then I reached into her bag and showed her that I had just given her my number too. We hung out that night and have been together ever since. Story 68. Have extroverted friends who introduce you to introverted women. That is how I met my wife, and we have been happily married for 19 years, enjoying life together. Story 69. Worked with a girl as a teenager and met her little sister maybe once. It was like a flash in time that I barely remember. 7 or so years later, that friend randomly tried to hook me up with the sister. One awkward phone call later, nothing happened. The timing was bad, and I wasn't interested in pursuing anything of that nature then. I thought she looked very attractive from the Facebook pictures I could see at the time. 5 or so years after that, the friend asked if I wanted to give it another real chance with the same sister. The timing was right, and I realized then that this opportunity was A, being given to me, and B, probably would not happen again. I am now married with 2 children and still introverted. Story 70. I found hobbies that drained my social energy more slowly than other activities, in my case board games. Then I found groups of people to share those hobbies with. Eventually, I found someone in those groups I enjoyed spending time with who did not drain my social energy at all. That is, someone I would not mind spending the rest of my life with. Story 71. I met an introverted coworker who had recently broken up with her boyfriend. Her supervisor told me to approach her. He was right 45 years later. Story 72. I am a woman, but if I may weigh in, I connected with my introverted husband through MySpace in 2007. After 2 weeks of online chatting, we met in person and have been together for 18 years, married for 15. Story 73. One day in college, I was bowling with my roommates. I was sitting at the table between games when a lady came up to me with a cheeseburger and fries. She sat down next to me and handed me a tray with the food. She leaned in close and whispered, "Please just play along for a minute." I did, and we pretended we were a couple for a little while. I'm introverted, so she definitely led the conversation at first. Then I got comfortable, and we talked for a couple of hours. Apparently, there was a guy there who had asked her for her number a couple of times and was really starting to creep her out. So, I asked her why she was fine with this guy killing a total stranger to get to her. She jokingly said that I looked like someone nobody would miss. I think she was joking. She's a textbook extrovert, so I quickly realized there was a benefit to having one in my life. We'll be married for 20 years next month. She won my heart with a cheeseburger. Apparently, that's all it takes for me. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.